This is the story of Hansel and Gretel. Hansel and Gretel were brother and sister, and they were very fond of each other. One day their mother sent them to take lunch to their father, who was felling trees in the forest. The children took a milk can and a basket with lunch, and they went into the forest. "Daddy, may we go and pick some strawberries?" Hansel and Gretel asked. "Sure," replied the father, "but don't go too far or you'll get lost." The children had eyes only for the sweet, juicy berries, and without realizing it, they wandered deeper and deeper into the woods. At last, Gretel thought it was time to return, and she said, "Come on, Hansel, let's go back to Daddy." They turned around and walked, but they could not find their father anywhere. They had lost their way. It was getting dark. Hansel and Gretel felt like crying. All of a sudden, a little white bird appeared before them and flew towards a brook. The children followed it, crossed the brook, and then saw, deep in the forest, a bright light shining through the trees. They hurried in the direction of the light and found that it came from a small cottage. Never before had the children seen such a cottage. It was all made of gingerbread and pastry. "Oh, Gretel, I'm so terribly hungry," complained Hansel. "I'd like to eat a piece of that gingerbread." "Oh, no, you mustn't do that," said Gretel. "What if someone should see us?" But she was too very hungry, and so in the end they both broke off pieces of gingerbread from the cottage and ate it. Suddenly, a window opened, and out peered a gray head of a witch. "Who's that eating my gingerbread?" she said. "Ah, it's you, my pretty little ones. Come in, I'll give you as much gingerbread as you want." And she beckoned them with a crooked finger.
"What is your name, child?"
"Oh, Gretel, don't let's go there. I'm so afraid," said Hansel. "Don't be silly," replied Gretel. "Why shouldn't we go in? It'll be nice and warm inside." Hansel said no more, and the two children went inside the cottage. "Come, dear little children, come," the witch welcomed them. "Sit down at the table, and I'll bring you some soup." The soup tasted wonderful, and so did the other good things that the witch brought them to eat. Hansel and Gretel had never been so hungry before, and they ate and ate until they could eat no more. Then they took a good look around the room. Everything there seemed strange and marvelous to them. In the middle was a fireplace made of pastry, and in a corner stood a chest full of shining gold coins. What a strange cottage! Hansel and Gretel were very tired, and so they soon fell asleep. They slept very late in the morning, and when they awoke, everything was different. The old witch was no longer kind to them, ordered them about, and shouted at them all the time. "You, Hansel, will go into that pigsty, and you, Gretel, will work for me from morning till night. And don't think you're going to get away with being lazy." The witch screeched as she shook her broom at Gretel. She intended to fatten Hansel up so that she could kill him and eat him. So Hansel was behind the bars in the pigsty, and the witch came every day to see how fat he was. But Hansel was clever and always put out a short stick instead of his finger. The witch was much astonished that he wasn't getting any fatter. The children were very sad, and only the little white bird cheered them up with his merry song. One day, the witch decided not to fatten Hansel any longer. She was going to roast him in the oven and eat him immediately. She took him to the big oven and ordered him to sit on a shovel. But Hansel pretended he couldn't sit on it, and every time he fell off, "Get out of my way," the witch screamed. "I'll show you how to do it." And she sat on the shovel, and Hansel and Gretel saw that their chance to escape had come. The children did not hesitate a second, but quick as a flash, they picked up the shovel and with a great heave they threw the witch into her oven. And they put some pastries into their basket, filled the milk can with gold coins from the chest, and left the cottage. Quickly they walked through the woods, eager to get home as soon as possible. How glad they were going to be to see their mommy and dad and to be free again. The little white bird flew on ahead and showed them the shortest way home. After a time they came to the brook. How were they going to get across? There was no bridge anywhere, no stepping stone either, and the current was very swift. But the bird flew up to them and said, "Wait, children, I'll be back in a second." And a little later, he came back with a beautiful white swan. She carried the children across the water. Then they hurried out of the forest, and soon they saw the path that led to their home.
Father!
They said goodbye to the little white bird, and they ran and ran.
Hansel.
There was great rejoicing at home.
Gretel.
The parents were so happy that their children had come back again.
Precious children.
And what was more, there was gold in their milk can, and they were not poor anymore. And they all lived happily ever after.